Maschine Masters family, this is MG the Future, bringing you another exclusive tutorial. Today is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to take you guys through a track I was working on in order to kind of understand the different techniques that are being implemented today, especially the resurgence of what they call New York type beats. This is most recognizable with Bobby Shmurda. Of course, we got a lot of Jalil beats that are like this, and more recently made famous Young M.A's new track, Ooh, which is pretty dope. I mean, it's got 4 to 5, 6 different mainstream rappers rapping on it, whether it be diss tracks with Meek Mill, Between Game, or just all the different rappers, clips, Pusha T's clips, all of them guys. So I wanted to kind of figure out what was going on there, and as I was going through it, I realized nothing new. And that's no slant against those guys. It's just that it's a very old style coming back, and I'm actually happy to hear it. So this is the track, of course. If you guys haven't heard it, definitely encourage you to check it out. On this particular tutorial, at least, I'm going through the Sound Oracle pack, and I'll let you hear that drum kit in a minute and what that actually sounds like. Of course, the 46, I'll show you at the end what I'm using that for. And there's plenty of kits on here. There's a lot of new ones out today. I don't know if you guys have seen them yet, but definitely check that out. But the long and short of it is, with the New York style beats, from the sounds of it, a lot of them are just using the same kits Jalil, A-Rap Music, Swiss Beats even used to use. You know, those heavy kicks, those authentic snares. In this case, I believe it's a stacked snare. Sounds like there's a pitch down 808 on it. Let's check it out though. Let's get to where I'm at with it. So this is what I got for this particular thing. Alright, so we'll start with the basics. First things first, in that particular sample, Young M.A's version at least, that sample is only about, I would say, 1 bar or half a bar, and it's just looping and looping. I'm not using the sample that they use in that particular song. Instead, I opted to go with this one. Very recognizable and very short. And it's just looping over and over again, sort of how trap melodies would loop over and over again for double time type tracks. There's a few other samples that may have worked for it that I was going through my palette. Especially that first half. I picked that one because I was thinking about the chord that's in the Young M.A track that comes in about halfway through the first measure. So there's a few different types of samples you could use for those kind of beats. They remind me of Alchemist. But once I found the sample I wanted, which is this one, I simply sped it up. Most New York type tracks, as they call it, are in the 90s, but in this case it was around 83, 84, so I committed it to 84. From then, I went ahead and found the key of it using Key Finder, which is a free program that I've shown in previous videos about sampling. And it told me my new sample after I pitched it was in B minor, and the ooh vocal is a G flat minor, but I didn't end up using it in key how I wanted to, not in this particular track at least. Then I went over to Ableton Live, I put the sample here. The only reason why I wanted that is so that I could go ahead and right click. I went ahead and converted the harmony to a new MIDI track. That gave me some MIDI notes. Live, it doesn't make sense. For the most part, it comes out looking like this. You get an idea of the separation of the chords in there. You could fold it, scroll down, look for the bass notes, You could chop it up a little bit, get rid of some of these sounds that are a result of a delay, and you can pretty much shell out the chords from that point. After that, I went ahead and tapped it out, of course, 83. And this is where it gets fun. I went to the circle of fifths chart, so we had a B minor track, and B minor's down here, but the only way to get its relative, as I've always said, is find the same shape opposite of minor in its quadrant, which would be D. And as I go through the track, you'll see what I mean. So anyway, drum kit first, real simple. Stack kicks. A regular old trap snare, old faithful, never fails me. And an undertone to layer with it, along with a crunchy clap, a lo-fi clap. And there's a big reverb clap through the track. And there's a different tom roll they're using, but I'm using this one. All these are from the Sound Oracle pack, so I didn't go hunting down everything sound for sound. And that's important to know. You don't have to copy the track. It's the essence that you're worried about. Next part up is the drum pattern. The drum pattern is what sets these tracks off. You can listen to a lot of Jalil, a lot of Cardiac, a lot of Swiss beats. Just any East Coast track will do. So most of them are like, or when you do something like Ninth Wonder of them do, it's like. But in this case, instead of just being one snare hit, it's more of a kick to snare thing, which aligns with the kind of pattern I did in my last video about the underwater technique. So it's more like. And that's pretty much it. Once you have that, you have nearly everything you need. They don't change up the drums a whole lot. They're using a 4-bar pattern, and I'll play that by itself. So the ending of this one is the claps. If I doubled this, I'll make a copy of it. It should just be the tom roll as it is at the end of the 8 bars of the real track. So let's see what that sounds like. I added that triple kick in there just for interest. Then I have the cymbal track, which is just an open hi-hat and a trap hi-hat. That just hypes the track up a little bit with high frequency content, which is very important in any song. Then he has the vocals going through. I put a delay on mine to kind of make it dance around. And this is just a regular voice. Going through an auto-tune type effect. And then the sub, of course, and this is pretty important too. When you're playing sub, instead of holding or sustaining it like we usually do in trap or if we're not using 808, especially with subs, I keep them really short. And as you can tell by the length of them, they get cut off right before the snare hits. So we'll check that out in context. And you'll notice I made this one longer because in that song, in the sample itself, there's a chord going through. I had to figure that chord out. I used the LE Hits Contact Bank. And I'm on a demo of Contact, so it timed out, of course. But I'm using this VST here, so I went ahead and bounced it to audio for you guys. And if I'm not mistaken, it's just a D major chord. Be nice if we could hit. I believe in the Young M.A track, that chord is built into the sample, or like the sample's chopped like A and B has a chord in it from whatever the original is. But I didn't have that. I just had this. Just looping over and over again. And of course, the arrangement in this track only it alternates like an A-B pattern with cymbals, without cymbals, with bass, without bass. So it's really simple to follow along. And that pretty much locks a rapper into it. You know what I mean? Like, instead of having a lot of change ups and drops as we hear in a lot of current music, New York beats are real simple. The only thing really different about them is the hooks, especially sample-based hooks. There's usually a lot of vocals and what have you. In this particular sample, though, I'm going to pick up where I left off on the music theory one and the video I did last time about the underwater technique. I went ahead and added a bridge to this. And as you see, I had one D major chord over the sample, which indicates it's in D or A. But I ended up time stretching it and increasing the pitch to BD as well. And that's why that chart was so important. And I want to show you guys that real quick. So we got D, we got major, its relative minor is B minor, and you'll see that I put B minor chords on it. Real simple, just some 1-4-5 type stuff. And these work interchangeably. If you look at the pattern, the only thing that changes is their degrees. So I'm gonna go from D major to B minor. Same exact thing. And that's why I did it this way. So we're gonna go from the beginning into a bridge, and I'm only using the 46, the pad, and the low end synth that I showed you guys in the previous video, and this is what it sounds like all together. So you notice here on the drums, I simply double timed them. So we'll look at the difference. Where you have kick, snare, back and forth here, I have them spread out here. So kick, then snare here on the 3, rather than having the snare on the 2 and the 4. I'm having the snare on the 3. And that just splits the tempo in half without actually automating or changing tempo. And it's pretty cool to do because most of the quote-unquote Drake style beats are around 50 beats per minute, between 40 and 50. So if I sped this up to a 93 beat per minute track, it'll probably be way more appropriate. But this, in this example, worked because I'm not dragging this out. In fact, this might end the song depending on what the artist decides to put together as far as whether they're going to rap or sing over it. But I won't play it back one last time. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's a really simple workflow. I like uncovering that particular track and dissecting it and kind of getting the gist of what was going on. And hopefully you guys picked up a thing or two from it. I like this kind of music a whole lot because it kind of forces people to put bars together. And there's nothing wrong with the new school rap per se, but man, I miss bars. And since we had the theme going this week with the Alchemists going on and everything that's on the Maschine Masters channel right now, I just wanted to kind of stay in the pulse of that energy with this particular video. One last thing though, as far as bridges go, I wanted to show you guys this particular tutorial I did with the underwater, which kind of explains the sound at the end of this track. Does come with a loop kit you guys could check out and support us in that way. And you can I have everything key mapped here so you can adjust it as you need it. Use the little circle of fifth charts, align it with your samples, tune them up, repitch them, do anything you want to get that kind of bridge and that kind of momentum going on these tracks. But anyway, this is MG the Future for Maschine Masters. Until next time.